What is unseen, what is imagined, what is intimated is always scarier than really what appears on screen. I kept telling people I want to do a scary show, I want to do a scary show, and no one would listen to me. We went into the network, we pitched the idea for the X-Files not once but twice, and they finally bought the concept on the second pitch. I think that it was so unlike anything else on television, they really didn't know what to make of it.
When I met with Chris, he had a game planned in terms of where the show was going to be over the course of so many years.
I was pretty blown away when I first saw the pilot. Thought it was terrific. One of the best pilots I'd seen in years.
When I got the first script and I started talking to people about it, I realized that this is something very special and something that had a lot of quality. And it was a wonderful opportunity to get on a show that was at its infancy and at its birth, and we were telling some stories that actually people today still talk about.
The show took on a life of its own. What was so exciting about it is that it developed before our very eyes.
And that's part of the rush, too. I mean, you read the script and you go, how the hell are we going to do that? And then when you do figure something out, that's really fun, that's really gratifying.
Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
I knew we were in for a ride when we first started to create the main title. Chris found the video operator and said, could we stretch its face out? We stretched with this video system, and that became a famous image out of the main title.
Chris sent over tons of CDs, and he would say, you know, in this CD I like the drums, and this I like the vocal sound, and the guitar thing that repeats here is really cool, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm getting a little dizzy and thinking, wow, what am I gonna do? I put my elbow down on the keyboard, and there was some echo machine that had this repeated sound to it, da 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 da, you know, and that became the accompaniment.
The music and the visual of that main title rose to this new this new level, something unusual. We'd never seen a main title like that in television.
You could see that they were doing something really different. Just going in the way it was lit, that was really dark. Like we're on set and, okay, you know, you're looking there, it's all pitch black. And you go, well, they're not even lit yet. Oh, I'll go back to my truck. No, we're ready to go. Well, you got like a flashlight and something coming through the Venetian blinds. That's it? That's what you're, yeah, that's what we use. Wow, that's cool.
I'll say that we did everything right the first season, and that we made all the right decisions, and I'll say that only because it was the foundation for which the rest of the show was built. I'm asked where Mulder and Scully came from. Of course, now fans of the show will know that Mulder was my mother's maiden name, and Scully is the last name of Vince Scully, who was the voice of the Dodgers, and when you're a kid growing up in Los Angeles like I was, also the voice of God.
The show had such an immense popularity that Dave and Gillian had no idea what was happening behind them. Being cooped up in a sense Vancouver working on the show, not knowing how the world or how the United States is responding to this show was quite an interesting eye-opener for these guys when they come to Los Angeles.
Scully, wake up! You gotta see this.
I think it had to do with the fans on the internet, because way back then, that was when it was Alt TV X-Files, the news group, that everybody would log on after the show and start talking about it.
I was adamant from the beginning that Mulder and Scully should not be romantically involved. Of course, I've been successful in that. The addition of Scully's boyfriend, named Ethan, in the pilot was an attempt by the executives to create the love interest that they felt wasn't there between Mulder and Scully.
Are you working with anybody?
Yes. His name's Fox Mulder.
As it turned out, it was very easy to cut Ethan out because it just slowed down the scenes where you would see Mulder and Scully together, which is where all the heat really was. Gillian Anderson came to me in the second half of the first season to tell me that she was pregnant. There were many thoughts about how we should handle the pregnancy, alien baby being one of them. Ultimately, I think we all kind of group decided that what we should do is we should write around Gillian's pregnancy. We should not deal with it at all on camera. But at the end of season 1, you will see noticeably that Gillian begins to be transformed into the beginning of motherhood.
There's a scene in Deep Throat where Mulder sees what appears to be a spaceship, and the ship flies right on over him, casts this light down upon him.
It was a pretty hectic day, and in the middle of this, out comes the lighting rig, which was basically this kind of 70s disco thing. So what was supposed to be this mysterious high-tech spaceship was making some pretty funny-looking little colored circles on the ground. I got a call from Dan Sackheim, and he said, we're doing this pilot, and we need a bunch of leaves to swirl around in a vortex. The entire vortex was CG leaves, but they were combined with real leaves that we had blowing on the forest floor.
Everyone was surprised by the scale of the shows.
And how difficult they were to accomplish.
I was walking onto a set and walking onto an atmosphere of people that wanted to make something better. They were striving to make something great. The mealworm that almost went into Mulder's ear was a real deal.
The worm was partly just kind of a real prop that was actually moving around, and it was also a computer-generated worm that kind of wriggled convincingly.
The character that Doug Hutchison plays is a person who excretes bile, but he also decided he wanted to play it stark naked. So I walked onto the stage, and here's this stark naked man covered in this gooey yellow substance. And it was shocking, you know, because here is this man walking around naked, which is always shocking. But I think the thing that I felt worst about was that David Duchovny was going to actually have to get into this elevator shaft with this naked, greasy, grimy, sweaty man, and to have to pretend to be afraid of him, which is probably the easy part.
One of the funniest sequences that we had to work on was in the show Fallen Angel. There was a monster that could not be seen.
So we'd said, well, okay, if it's in a green forest, let's put that person in an orange suit, and I'll be able to extract that person and put in something that's kind of mysterious. It was supposed to be this kind of lithe, dangerous, raptor-like creature. And what it ended up being a dancer in this bright orange body sock contraption wearing fins and a hump on her back.
The film that we got back on the day they shot this rubber-suited guy was so funny. I could hear laughter coming from different screening rooms all across the lot.
I'm always asked what my favorite episodes are. Two episodes that come to mind, Ice and Beyond the Sea, which I thought were excellent and really helped to establish what the X-Files could be.
I guess my favorite episode was my first episode, Ice. It was an interesting show because all the actors, all the characters were pretty much in one location.
Oh my God.
And it was really fun to kind of stretch Scully and Mulder into places they really hadn't been to before.
In here, I'll be safer than you.
I think it was the last show of season 1 was the Erlenmeyer Flask. It was a big, big show. It was a very exciting score, and that's my favorite score.
In Shapes, there was a sequence around a fire. If you have people that are standing around this magnificent bonfire, let's light them as if they are a part of it.
I actually went down to a part of Vancouver there where they had a assembly every week for Native Americans. And basically, I grabbed these guys and I cast them and put this in the opening of the put this in part of the show that I thought actually could help give a lot of authenticity.
Do I believe in them? Well, they don't return my calls.
There has to be something out there. There's a lot of matter and a lot of universe out there. However, I don't believe that they're little gray men with big eye sockets and flying saucers.
I would think that it'd be pretty arrogant of us to think that we're the only ones in a universe so large. But if they're flying millions of light years just to shove a flashlight up some hick's ass, I don't think that's going on. You know what I mean?
Do I believe in extraterrestrials? I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
I'm looking back now, not just 7 years back to the beginning of the X-Files, season 1, but really 8 years, because it took me short of a year to really pitch, write, sell, and to produce the X-Files pilot so that it could be aired when it was in September of 1993, I believe. I look back on it as inching our way along, feeling our way through the dark, which is, I think, a good X-Files metaphor.
When I look back on the first season of X-Files, I have such a fondness for everyone and everything that I did. We all work very hard in this business, and it's nice to be able to do something that you're proud of.
Being part of, in a sense, cultural history of the 90s is pretty exciting. So whatever happens to me career-wise from now on, I'm not sure will quite compare with the X-Files experience.
Trust me, you've never been closer.
Closer to what?
It really is as if there was someone watching out for us. I've always knocked wood when asked about the show or given a compliment about the show, because I'm superstitious that we are still working under some magic spell, and I would hate for that spell to be broken.